You're a fan favorite, honey.
No.
The people love Kate Martin, okay?
Didn't have like the college career that like a lot of these WNBA players have had, and so it's like, do I really like belong here? Like, is this like, am I good enough?
I would say definitely A'ja Wilson is A'ja Wilson. Like, it's insane. Like, you know, you try not to have those moments where it's like, oh my God, that's A'ja Wilson. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, she just does things so fluidly.
Everything seemed routine until Kate Martin said something that changed the entire narrative. In one unexpected moment, her rookie journey took a sharp turn, pulling A'ja Wilson into the spotlight in a way no one anticipated, while Caitlin Clark found herself tied to the situation in a completely surprising role. Was it just the weight of competition, the pressure building behind the scenes, or something deeper and more personal? The real story unfolds very differently once you piece together what actually happened.
You obviously have a player like Caitlin, who's on the team. I have to ask, like, when did you first hear about her, and then what were your first impressions of her when she got to campus?
Yeah, she had come on a couple visits, and she was like a big name in Iowa. So I had heard about her. I wasn't from Iowa, so I didn't know as much. And that like all Iowa Tech like AAU program is like so big, and I had I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, whatever. But it's like a big thing in Iowa. And so I had heard about this Caitlin Clark, and I was like watching videos.
It's always wild how a career can look completely steady from the outside, right up until you take a closer look and realize things are quietly unraveling underneath. That's exactly what happened to Kate Martin, when the moment she'd been waiting for in the WNBA suddenly started turning into something no one saw coming.
For 4 years you played with Caitlin. Now what was it like to play against her?
It was weird, I'm not gonna lie. Just looking out on the court and, you know, seeing her, you know, in a different jersey than me, it was obviously different, but, you know, it's really fun. We're both living out our dream right now, and we both get to compete at the highest level. So, you know, we're both really grateful for that.
One moment she was coming off a college run that made her seem like one of the safest bets to succeed at the next level, and the next she found herself in a situation where her role kept shrinking so quickly it felt like the lights were slowly being dimmed around her.
But now she's getting a little more run and getting to play and playing free, and I think people are just seeing her confidence grow and grow. So just like I said, I'm really happy for her, and you know, hopefully I can recruit her to the Fever somehow, some way, one day. Who knows? I'm gonna try to figure that out. I don't know, but it's my goal at some point in my career to team up with Kate again.
Yeah,
we'll see if that happens. People don't get too excited.
The strange part is, if you only followed the headlines, you'd think everything should have gone exactly as planned. After all, this was the same player who helped lead Iowa to back-to-back Final Four runs alongside Caitlin Clark, a duo that turned ordinary college games into must-watch events.
And I was like, oh, this girl thinks she's gonna come here and rule the world, you know, like whatever. It's gonna be, you know, whatever. And there she did, came in right away and ruled the world. And I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. I know early, you guys, what I remember about that first year, like together, is you beat Iowa State.
Yeah.
Like pretty early in the season. I felt like that put it
huge
on the map in a way.
For sure. I would say so. Like, I just remember you have that summer before, and she was doing things that I had never seen anybody do before.
What most people saw was Caitlin launching deep threes and rewriting record books, but what often went unnoticed was the engine underneath all that chaos, the player doing the unglamorous work that made everything function. And that player was Kate. Before the noise, before the cameras started treating Iowa City like a concert stop, the program wasn't exactly dominating national headlines. Then something shifted. It wasn't just talent, it was chemistry that looked almost scripted, even though it was completely natural. Caitlin brought the spectacle, the kind of scoring outburst that sent social media into a frenzy, while Kate quietly handled everything else that actually wins games. From defensive communication to positioning to those split-second decisions that never show up on highlight reels but determine whether a possession survives or falls apart. Kate was doing all of it. She never chased attention, which is rare at that level. Instead, she focused on making the system work, and ironically, that made her more valuable than a lot of players who were busy chasing numbers.
If you can really describe and put it into words, this legacy, but honestly, I mean, I just hope we've brought a lot of people joy, and we've brought a lot of people together. I hear all the time about how many friends that people have made in the stands just watching our games. We sold out every single home game this year at Carver, and then everywhere we go, you know, we have fans lining up wanting, you know, Caitlin's autograph, our autograph, but more than anything, you know, our legacy is, you know, what we've brought to the state of Iowa, I think, and just all the joy and the fun. And
if you go back to that unforgettable run, especially the game against South Carolina, the one that flipped expectations on their head, you start to see why Kate still points to it as a defining moment. That wasn't just an upset, it was proof that execution and belief could break down even the most intimidating roster. While Caitlin grabbed the headlines, Kate was doing everything that made it possible. Boxing out, setting screens, organizing the defense, and keeping everyone composed when the pressure started to rise. Moments like that don't just build confidence, they shape identity. And Kate's identity was clear. She was the connector. The calm presence when everything sped up. The player who could lock eyes with a teammate and settle things without saying a word. Their relationship wasn't just about running plays, it was built on trust that extended beyond the court, which is why everything looked so instinctive. Kate knew where Caitlin would be before the pass even left her hands, and Caitlin trusted that Kate would make the right decision every time. That kind of chemistry can't be faked. And more importantly, it's not something that automatically carries over to the professional level.
Y'all obsession with Caitlin Clark is causing me not to like her. And I hate to feel that way because the girl is very talented. I will never take away her talent. I will never take away what she did in Iowa. But let's be for real for a second. What she has done in the WNBA thus far has not put her on the roster for the U.S. Basketball Olympics team. Who is she taking off? Please, give me a player right now on that roster in her position. Don't give me somebody, you talking about a center. No, give me somebody that is a guard.
Because the WNBA doesn't care about your college chemistry, your past success, or how good your story sounded on draft night. It cares about production, timing, and most of all, fit. And that's where things started to unravel for Kate, in a way that felt less like a personal failure and more like a system quietly rejecting her. Landing with the Las Vegas Aces looked like a dream on paper. A championship roster, elite talent everywhere, and the chance to learn alongside Aya Wilson, one of the most dominant forces in the league. But that's also the problem. Championship teams aren't built to experiment, especially not with rookies when they already have a formula that works. As the season went on, her role kept shrinking. The minutes dropped, the opportunities disappeared, and with them the stats, falling to numbers that didn't come close to reflecting what she's actually capable of. And there's a big difference between struggling while playing real minutes and trying to prove yourself when you're barely on the floor long enough to make playoffs. What should have been a chance to prove her value under pressure. But instead it became the clearest signal yet that something wasn't right. 6 games. 3 total minutes. That's not development, that's a message. At that point, it's hard to ignore the reality that the issue isn't just performance, it's circumstance. The Aces were built around established stars, with a hierarchy that left almost no room for a rookie to grow. Players like Aya Wilson and other veterans were always going to control the rotation, and the coaching staff had no real reason to disrupt a system that was already winning. That kind of environment can quietly wear on a player's confidence, especially someone coming from a system where their role was clear and valued. Instead of building on her strengths, Kate found herself just trying to survive in a setup where her skill set wasn't a priority, one of the fastest ways for a promising career to stall. But just when it felt like things might spiral completely out of control, one conversation changed everything. At her lowest point, when doubt starts creeping in and every game feels like a missed chance, Kate reached out to the one person who had seen her at her best, the one who truly understood what she brings to a team. She called Caitlin Clark.
Come in and have that kind of confidence, not everybody has that. I was like, oh, I haven't really seen anything like this. And so we knew she was going to be outstanding. And then, at the beginning of the year, we had some big wins and there was highs and lows that year for sure. But, it took us a little bit to figure it out. But it obviously turned out better than I could have ever expected or thought.
Well, real quick, what did you notice about Caitlin's work ethic? Was there anything that stood out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she was in the gym constantly. Yeah. And it was the way she approached everything too was it was with a sort of excellence.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Caitlin wasn't exactly living a stress-free life in the WNBA either. She was dealing with her own adjustment to the league, the physicality, the expectations, and the pressure of being treated like the face of the future. But when Kate explained what was happening in Las Vegas, Caitlin immediately saw the real issue. It wasn't about ability, it was about environment. Sometimes the hardest truth to accept is that nothing is wrong with you, you're just in the wrong place. And that realization can either break you or push you to make a move that changes everything. For Kate, it did the second. Instead of seeing her situation as a failure, she started to recognize it as a mismatch. And that shift changes everything. Because once you see it that way, leaving doesn't feel like quitting anymore. feels like taking control. So when the opportunity came through the expansion draft and the Golden State Valkyries entered the picture, it wasn't just another team showing interest. It was the right kind of situation. A fresh system. A reset. The kind of environment that rewards effort, communication, and unselfish play, the exact traits that defined Kate from the beginning. Instead of being an afterthought, she became part of the foundation. And that's a completely different kind of pressure, but also a completely different kind of opportunity. Now, her role isn't about squeezing into someone else's system. It's about helping build one.
No, I've learned a lot from Caitlin, and I feel really grateful that I've gotten to spend 4 years with her. She just has come in since her freshman year and made everybody better around her, and I think that's what the greats do, is they raise the level of competition every single day in practice. And she had goals, and I hadn't really, typically I was looking up to people who were older than me, and then, somebody younger coming in with such a, fiery mentality and wanting to win, and I just loved it. And sometimes you don't really think about looking up to somebody who's younger than you, but I always admired her even since the day she stepped on campus.
And that's where everything starts to click again. The same qualities that made her invaluable at Iowa are finally being seen and used at the professional level. The hustle, the awareness, the leadership, the willingness to handle the small details every single possession. Those aren't just nice to have anymore. They're central to what the Valkyries are trying to build. There's also something powerful about being part of a new franchise. It removes the constant comparisons and gives players the freedom to define success on their own terms. Instead of fighting for scraps in a crowded rotation, Kate now has the chance to earn trust. And in the long run, that matters far more than minutes alone. And if you really listen, the tone of her story has completely shifted. What once felt like frustration and uncertainty now carries a sense of purpose and direction. That tells you everything about how important fit really is. So when people say Aya Wilson ruined her career, it sounds dramatic, almost too easy. But the truth is more layered than that. It was never about one player. It was about a system that simply had no room for her to grow. And the moment that system changed, everything else started to fall into place.
Us as a team, we have it, we just gotta find it within each other. And that takes time, but obviously we spoiled a lot of people with our greatness, with our legendary basketball styles. We see people are running our stuff. And so we spoiled our fan base, we spoiled a lot of people with that, and now they expect that out of us every single game. And it's hard. People have their building years, people have their championship years. Everyone has that type of year, and I think we're in unfamiliar territory, but we're about to get real familiar with being uncomfortable and leaning on one another, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Now the real question isn't whether Kate Martin belongs in the WNBA. It's how far she can go now that she's finally in an environment that clearly values what she brings. And if there's one thing history shows, it's that players who understand their role and commit to it tend to last longer than those constantly chasing the spotlight. Which naturally makes you wonder, if that phone call never happened, how different would this story look today? And how many other players are currently stuck in situations that don't fit them, just waiting for a shift that changes everything? The uncomfortable truth is that stories like this rarely come with warning signs. From the outside, everything still looks professional, structured, and perfectly fine. But inside that structure, a player can slowly feel themselves fading from the very thing they worked their entire life to reach. Once she understood that her value hadn't changed, only her situation had, the frustration stopped feeling personal and started feeling structural, almost like a puzzle that needed a different setting to solve. It also changes how people think about success in the WNBA. Fans often assume talent automatically rises to the top, but the reality is more complicated. The league is full of players who dominated every level before it, now competing for limited space in systems that don't always highlight what they do best.